Hi and welcome back to Kingsclear. This is the August monthly update, and to be honest with you, this month quite a lot has actually gone on. We've been really busy up here. Well, when I say we, predominantly my partner, she has come up and done quite a lot in the front and rear gardens and sorted out some of the mistakes that I did. So I'm very thankful for her and her assistance in helping us out. But also on this video today, we will go through some new arrivals. So you saw the 08 to start with. Now I did a video on that a couple of weeks ago, but I'll just do a little bit of time on that one. There's also another vehicle which I'm really looking forward to showing, and that will hopefully be worthwhile waiting to watch. We've also got some other updates in regards of the station and some of the infrastructure around the station, and we're also going to go through some of the detailing of the wagon loads to the Salmons that I've done. So that's the painting of the track panels and the weathering and affixing those onto those, so looking forward to that. We've also got some other stock Scenic 3D items, similar to what I went through last month, but I'll get those. I'll just show a bit of clip of those being developed and then put onto the area around the houses. So yeah, so it should be quite good. Starting with the front of the houses, as you can see now that the tarmac is now done all the way through. Now I'm not best pleased with this. This product that did the tarmac up to about where that black car is was one make, and this was another make. So this is the ammo make. Not too sure if it was me, but as you can see, there's quite a lot of undulations there within that tarmac area, and I'm not happy with the colour. So more than likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another layer on top of that, whether I use the ammo product or use the other product, I'm not too sure at the moment, but we'll have a look at that. But as I said on the opening sequence, my partner's been up here doing quite a bit. As you can see, this area now looks really good. That tree and some of the work that we've been doing in that really starts to bring it all to life. And I'm not sure if you can just see inside that greenhouse, we've now got the tomato plants in there and the cucumber plants, and obviously getting some washing out on the line. Loads of nice planting going on in the back there, and I'll go around the other side in a minute and give you a better view of that. Also, what we've now done is we've now got the fences pretty much all secure. So we've got these fences in there. Obviously the my partner still needs to do some more work in this area, as you can see, but it's now really starting to come together. So what we'll now do is we'll just go to the rear of the buildings, and I'll show you what we've been doing in the back gardens. As you can see now, the area of the farmhouse garden is looking an awful lot better. The fence, with obviously the planting going through the fence, does look phenomenal. One of those water troughs that I discussed last month, it appears has been hijacked by my partner to use as a bit of a planter, but I think that's come off really effectively. Also, as you can notice, we've now got flowers on the runner beans, so hopefully we'll get some nice produce off that soon. But I think that whole area was looking really quite good. Not finished, but really starting to come together. Turning our attention now to the rear of the gardens. As you can see, obviously the tomato plants and the cucumber plants in the greenhouse still need to carry on. It's not finished, but it's getting there. It's just basically positioning things in the right areas and then affixing them down. The planting, as you can see, she's done a brilliant job with that, looking really good. As I say, when I do it, I just put stuff in there. I think there's no real method or reason of me doing it, but I think she's actually taken a lot of time to really think about the planting. So it's a much better job that she's done compared to myself. Moving on to this building, or this house I should say, sorry. Not that many plants and stuff like that, and I was told, well, the reason that is because you spend all your time up in the loft and not actually down doing any nice gardening. So I'm not too sure if that was a dig at me, but was quite funny. And again, moving forward, this garden's really starting to come together. And again, I've showed you the greenhouse last one, but that's now obviously got some tomato plants and various other vegetables growing in the area. And again, we've got flowers on those runner beans. As you can also see, we've got the fence now between the two houses. So instead of going for a wooden fence, I'll just go for a wire fence. That obviously needs some planting to it as well. And as I say, we're just working our way along this area. So at the end of the video, I'll show you some of the updates that we've done throughout this period. But I just thought I'd give you a bit of an overview of where we are at the moment. And then hopefully at the end of this video, you'll see all of the final developments. Although I have been spending the majority of the time working on the houses and the gardens, there have been some other developments here over the past month. And these include these Model U station signs, as you can see here. Now these are part of the new range that Model U are producing. I think they started with the southern region and now moving on to the western region, or Great Western region, depending which way you want to look at it. And these in effect are station signs. So if I just go in a bit closer, as you can see, these are actually embossed 3D printed signs. So you in effect tell Model U the name of your station, and then they produce these. And there you go, a bit better focus. Although they are really, really good, trying to get that crisp, clear paint divide between the black and white has proved to be a bit of a nightmare. So as I say, this is the first attempt, still not quite there. I still need to sharpen up those lines, and that's what I'm going to do. So hence the reason why they're not actually in situ at the moment, but basically just to show you where we are. But I think, as I say, really good addition, better than just the stick-on signs, which are good. I'm not moaning about those at all, but these are a very, very good representation of station signs that you would have seen and still do see. Actually, there's many stations you still see these signs at the back of platforms. So yeah, really pleased with those. And also just one thing to note here, as you can see, it says Kingsclere, change here for Tadley, but obviously when that sign was put up, there was obviously the connection to Tadley, but as I've said before in the other updates, that connection was removed, hence the reason why I haven't marked that out in the white so it's clear. I just thought that'd be a bit of an interesting twist. In regards of other changes here at Kingsclere, as you can see in front of you, we've got a new signal on the end of the platform. The straight arm day pole signal that I did have, I've had no end of problems with it. The gearing inside of the mechanism had either lost its teeth or was, well, it's basically been very problematic. Now there are various ways of in removing the mechanism as it is and putting servos to control it. So I did look at that, and it will happen at some point, because I'm not going to basically just bin that signal. That signal will be used elsewhere once I've decided where it's going to go, and obviously looked at that servo control. But in the meantime, I decided to go for this left-hand bracket signal, as you can see in front of you. The left-hand bracket itself basically symbolises entrance into the loop, hence why you've got that circle actually on the signal, because that denotes obviously signal moves into a loop or sidings, I think it is. And obviously I'm sure people will correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've understood. But yeah, it's a really, really nice signal, similar to the one that I've got on the other side. I'll just show you a bit of the action there. So you get that nice bumping of the signal when it returns back to danger. So yeah, really pleased with it. And it also means that I can now, in effect, signal control trains into the loop reception, rather than obviously passing the main aspect at danger and using the dummy signals, which in effect, unfortunately, because there really isn't a way of doing a ground signal effectively. I know there are ways out there, but I'm not really proficient enough at the moment, I should say, to attempt that. Maybe in years to come, I will be proficient enough. But basically, quite happy with what we've got now. I just need to do a little bit of work around the base, potentially put a ground signal in there similar to the original one that we had. But yeah, really happy with that development. As some of you may remember from the July update, I actually got quite a few products from stock Scenics, and here's another couple of products. Beehives, as you can see here, and some bird houses. So these have literally just been painted. I'm gonna have to do a bit more weathering on those, but again, as you can see, they're really fine detail on those, and you can actually see little holes where the small birds will go into there as well. So what I'm going to do now, just let that dry, and then I'm going to do a bit of weathering on those, and then hopefully for the update roundup, you'll see these out in the gardens and on the houses. So if we talk about the wagons first, these are salmon wagons. They're a 62-foot length salmon wagon, basically a flat wagon designed to take track panels in the state and form that you can see now, or you can put bolsters on them, which means that they're obviously be able to carry rail, for example. So I've got two manufacturers here. The one in front of you, as you can see at the moment, this is the flangeway one. This is the one that came out quite a while ago, and this in effect is the correct length 62-foot salmon. What you've also got here is one of what they call the shorties. Now, I'm not too sure exactly what happened, but when flangeway models made these, I think they got one of their scalings wrong. So these are actually too short, but they realised that and then produced the full length one. And we also have the Hornby version there as well, and I've only got one of those. And the only real major difference between the two, apart from obviously manufacturers, as you can see, is the bogies. So the flangeway one's got the 5'6" plate back bogie, where the Hornby's got the 8-foot, and I actually prefer the look of the 8-foot. There is also some other minor details, as say the buffers are slightly different, and then you've got various different small little bits. You've got some steps there, for example, between the two, and obviously the recesses, little open cupboard type things underneath are slightly different between the two. So just talking about those lengths, and if I just move the train along a bit, as you can see, there's a little bit of headroom at either end of the salmon on the correct length. And if we move that onto here, as you can see, these are overhanging. So if I hadn't have pointed that out and running this train in this formation, it would have been very difficult to see that there is a slight difference there. So I'm going to run this train in this formation, obviously utilising the shorty at the front. And I think it'll be a bit of an optical illusion, because obviously all of the other 4 salmons that we've got have got the 60-foot panels on. And because they've got their height, it's a bit of an optical illusion. So you're not going to be like standing out saying, wow, look, that's wrong. Now, as you can see, both the shorty and, in effect, all of them now, I've done a bit of weathering on them in regards of, obviously, just a bit of a track dusting down, bits of rust in certain areas. Now, the Hornby salmon came with, in effect, a very shiny, galvanised silver type of deck, where these flangeway models, these didn't actually. These came with quite a rusty type of checkboard. So for these ones, what I actually did is I painted these with the Citadel colours. In fact, it was this one here, sorry, lead belcher. So that was applied on the deck area, and then once that had obviously dried and gone off, I basically overwashed that with the null oil, which in effect brought out some of that check there that you can see. So in effect, that's what I've done with the weathering. I've still a little bit more to do. I still want to put a little bit of grease and debris around the axle boxes and stuff like that. But generally, the actual Salmons themselves, and if I just run them through, they're not in a bad place, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, so now if we talk about the panels themselves, and again, this is where we talk about realism. So a 60-foot panel is 18288 in metric, so 18 meters and 288 mil. And when you actually divide that down by obviously 76 for 00 scale, that gives you 240 mil 0.6. So I'm not too worried about the 0.6. But as you can see, when you measure that up there, you've got basically 240. So there or thereabouts. And I'm not going to be overly too worried about the 0.6 of a mil, because you'll never see it. But one thing is really important, as you can see, is that those little plastic tabs that you get on the underside of the Pico, which is what obviously this track is, units, you need to remove those, because they just don't exist in real life. It's just basically sleepers. And once you've done that, and as I say, it is quite a laborious task, because obviously in effect you've got to paint not every sleeper, but you've got to paint all the sleepers up in a base colour and then weather them down, as you can see, which is what I've done here as well. And obviously all the chairs and the rail itself, and put various washes over it and stuff like that. And it gives you, in effect, a more realistic look to the actual panels. Now, if you want a bit of a cheat, and it's not a cheat really, because obviously it occurs, you could go for concrete panels. So concrete panels, brand new ones, just say, oh, we're going to go into the track. In effect, you could put those on and not have to worry too much about the weathering, just a light weathering, and you could get away with that. Now, the one thing you will notice at the moment that these aren't chained down. So they will be chained down once those arrive, and I'll show you those in that process in a later video. But basically, yeah, I'm quite pleased with where we are. In regards of a bit of technical information, I've got a sneaking suspicion, and I can't remember, it was either 5 or 6 wooden panels were allowed to be placed on top of a Salmon. I'm sure there's a rivet counter out there somewhere that will be able to correct me on that. But what I've done is I've obviously gone for 4, 4, 4, and then I've got 2 at the back, with the spare one at the front. But as I say, I could have loaded these up to, I think it is 6, but I decided to keep those at 4. And as I say, those will be chained down once the chain arrives. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. And as I say, it wasn't too difficult, and it's not a waste of track, because it's just, as I say, just adding to the scenery and obviously the traffic movements throughout the yard. But again, the decision you can take is whether you have a Salmon and you have it flat, just going out onto a job, for example, or you put the bolsters on it with some rail or S&C componentry. It's entirely up to you, but it's a very versatile wagon. However, you've got to remember it was a long wagon, and as I say, there's only there's 4 there, and they're taking up quite a bit of space. So if you've got a small layout, then maybe go for 1 or 2. And also, one of the things that I think Flanger, I'm not sure if they still do, but you can still get hold of the shorties, which are these slightly smaller ones. So you might find it might be easier to get the shorties as a representation and not necessarily get, obviously, the full correct length ones, if you've got if you want to represent the wagon and not really necessarily want it to be as realistic as it is. But anyway, so that's what we'll do now. So next thing, when the chain arrives, I'll put that on, and then we'll have another view then. With the delivery now arrived from Scale Model Sceneries, as you can see, those chains do look really, really good, and really pleased with them. So yeah, so really happy with those. Obviously, one of the things I did have a struggle with is obviously there's no lifting eyes that you can actually tie onto on these wagons. So what I did in effect was drill holes, pushed the chain through, added a bit of super glue, and then in effect tightened them up. So also one of the things you'll notice as well is that in the video I've just shot, or you've just seen, I was looking at doing a 4-layer for 3 of the wagons and 2 on the other. But what I decided to do in effect was go for a 5-layer on 2 wagons with a 4-layer on the other wagon, and I think that looks better. The other thing you may notice as well is on the ends of these 60-foot panels, it's basically black, or a greasy colour. Now these panels were in effect representing panels that were removed from the track. So in effect, these would be where the joint of fish belly plates would have been. So these would have been greased. So it just adds that extra realism and detail, which is what we try to strive to get here at Kingsclear Model Railway. The other thing you may notice is that we've got slightly different chaining patterns. So you've got 4 chains on that wagon. There's also 4 chains on this wagon. And this wagon here has only got the 3. And that really was because of where the lifting eye is, because this is the Hornby wagon compared to the flangeway wagon. So they're slightly different. So I wasn't not too perturbed about that. It's roughly right. So I'm happy with that. In regards of the other Salmon, and if I just move these out of the way. So we're going to keep the shorty, as we said. But the other Salmon, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add the bolsters to it. So what we've done now, if I just bring that up, as you can see, we're just painting those up now to represent the bolsters. I'll add the bolsters onto that. Now, whether I put any rail on there or not, I'm still not too sure. I might just leave it open. Obviously, when these wagons went out with, say, new concrete panels, there were a few rails that had to go out, IRJs or something like that. And therefore these will contain on this wagon, and this wagon's now come back empty. So not entirely sure, but obviously just watch this space. I may have changed my mind in the next few minutes. Although some of the washes are still drying, that's it, pretty much finished now. So I decided just to put the bolsters on with the uprights on there as well, without a load. I may put a load on there at some time in the future, but in effect, for this particular project of just getting these salmons done and dusted, I thought I'd leave it as it is. But as I say, it's been interesting. As hopefully you can see, they look a lot better than what they did right at the start. And also the other interesting thing, bearing in mind this salmon's a flangeway one. This one, in effect, is the Hornby one. There's very, very little difference. As I say, there's some slight difference there to the end detail on the Hornby one. And you've got, obviously, steps, as you can see there, different bogies and different positions of the handbrake wheels. But apart from that, overall, you can really tell the two apart. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. As I say, it's just another one of those items on the wish list that's now been ticked off to do. So pretty pleased with that, and let's go back to the rest of the update. As mentioned at the start of the update, this is the new Bachmann Class 08. It just missed the July update, but I did do a review into this particular loco a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to see the detailed review of where I took it from, obviously coming straight out of the box, doing some weathering, etc., please do. But since that, obviously that video, all I've really done is added the shunter to the front step. And yeah, it's been working brilliantly well, no issues whatsoever. So as I say, if you want to have a look at how I got it to where it is at the moment, just have a look through the clips and you should be able to find it. So for those that didn't guess the new arrival here at Kingsclere, this is Daypole's new black label GWR Q13 inspection saloon. Now this one I've actually installed the decoder as well, so I get functionality of the lights. Very, very simple, and I think I might do another video on it, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically you've got lights in the front compartment, the kitchen area, should we say, the guard van bit, and then the rear area. You've also got the directional light, whether it be a white or a red. So I know it's not come out very well on that clip there, but what I'll do is I'll do some other clips later in the video where you can clearly see that tail light. So overall, the actual carriage is really, really nice. No real major issues there at all. I will be putting the Model U individuals into it, but not straight away. Obviously, you need to wait to get some more items for Model U's before I put them in. But yeah, definitely a really good addition here to the stock at Kingsclere. With the engineers most probably stocking up on some of Dillington's famous custard at the moment, just give me a bit of an opportunity to show you about that tail light. So basically you control the on-off function if you wish. This is obviously on, and you can see that's obviously in the forward motion, and obviously by reversing direction you can see the red tail light. So the functionality, as I say, with the ability to alter what lights that you wish at any time, is superb, and yeah, really great addition to the to Kingsclere Model Railway. In wrapping up the August update, I'll just go through some of the final bits that I've done over the last couple of days. So the beehives, as you can see, have come up really, really well. Bit of a compost heap been started by the old man doing some digging with one of the wheelbarrows there, which has come up really well. I've done some weeds in this area. I'm not sure how well that's coming up, but it does look quite good with a bit of a bush at the end of that garden. So just give that overgrown type of look. The other thing, I didn't mention it before, but we got some benches. So I've got 3 of them actually. If I just, there we go, that looks pretty good. So yeah, so I've got 3 of those. So I'm going to put a couple more in the gardens. And as you can see as well, we've got the bird box up on the wall. I think there's no room for the ladder, so he's just chucked it on top of the garage there. We've got another bird box here. And another bird box just on there. So it's just giving it that little bit of realism, not overdoing it. And as I say, still a lot more to do, but it's really, really starting getting there. So anyway, thank you very much for your time watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, maybe picked up some tips and stuff like that. As I say, any comments, obviously just drop them in. I try to respond as quick as possible. Likes obviously will be fantastic. And the other thing, if you haven't subscribed, why not? Obviously, please do. We are getting very close now to the 1,000 mark, which is something I never ever expected to do, to be honest with you. This was, as I say, this was a bit of enjoyment and to help my son, and it's just grown legs. So yeah, really pleased for everybody that's subscribed, and obviously all the comments, and yeah, and I'll speak to you soon. So thank you very much, and I'll see you later.